Here we go.
All right.
You're listening to The Coach Show with Coach Banks, Coach Swanson, Coach Kozlerich, and Coach Doherty on the Coaching Culture and Athletics Radio Broadcast Network. Sit back and enjoy the show. The views and opinions discussed in this podcast are not necessarily the opinion of the host or the Coach Show on the Coaching Culture and Athletics Radio Broadcast Network. Let's get it done.
All right. Hey, I want to welcome everybody to another rendition of Coaching Culture and Athletics. This is Season 2, Episode 4 tonight. Folks, we have a classic. I'm going to call you a classic, Lane, because that's just who I am. But you know, tonight we're going to talk a little bit about this Class 3A Region 7 matchup that we're going to be having this Saturday night, and maybe even look ahead. I know you tell your girls not to look ahead, but let's talk about the season in general, Lane, and what you foresee in this Albia team.
Okay, well, Chuck, the parents came out about a week ago here, and we're in Class 3A Region 7, and I really like the team's draw this year. We're going to start off with Albia this Saturday night at 5 o'clock at Central Lee playing Albia. Now, Albia, Chuck, is a team that's only won 2 games this year, but you can't take any team lightly. And like when you started your podcast here, you said, don't want to look ahead. We've really emphasized about not looking ahead past this game. And so we started looking at Albia. In comparison, Chuck, this year, they probably would compare like a Cardinal of Eldon team that we've played so far.
Okay, now what girls do they have? I mean, do they have any girls averaging more than 10 points a game, or are they pretty pretty sporadic?
Chuck, they're pretty sporadic. Their main player, number-wise, is number 25, and I'm looking here. Her name is Weber. I can't remember the first name, Weber, and she's a freshman, 5'6" tall. She'll be the point guard and kind of runs the show. Looks like she's got pretty good speed. She'll probably try to push the ball up the court a little bit. But her supporting cast, by all things looking at quick stats, they don't shoot the ball very well. And I've looked at them on tape against, I think it was Centerville. Mm-hmm. And on tape against, who's the other one here? I can't quite remember. Anyway, I've watched 2 tapes, and Fairfield was the other team, Chuck. And so even though they're 2-17, 2-19, wherever that record is right now, you just got to be careful.
Yeah, you look at the South Central Conference, and it's kind of a beast. Centerville started the year out. I believe they were ranked 10th, and they finished off a pretty good season. Knoxville's got 2 Division I basketball players. I mean, Sheraton, year in year out is kind of up and down, but they are tough to beat at home. But so a pretty tough conference. But I gotta believe, Lane, that when we look at our little neck of the woods, that our conference might be tougher top to bottom.
Yeah, Chuck, and when I look at this region, I think you're going to see some upsets. Like you said, that Centerville team has been up and down all year, and they can play with anybody anytime. Des Moines Christian, I just saw the rankings. They fell from 6th to 9th already now. They've had a little trouble in the last couple weeks. And then this Davis County, which is in the bottom bracket, playing West Burlington. Do not count them out against West Burlington.
Davis County, their coaching staff is really good, and they're able to evaluate, and especially when you're talking about girls basketball, you definitely can't count them out. Now, that West Burlington's coming off a pretty dramatic win here recently, correct?
Yeah, last night they came off of a big win. They played Burlington Notre Dame. I believe the score was 61-51, and West Burlington won that on their home court. Now, the previous basketball game that they had before that, I think that was against Holy Trinity, and they actually lost that game down at Holy Trinity by 6-8 points. So we're hoping that we're peaking at the right time, and maybe we can find a few flaws against them and come away with a victory. But first of all, we got to take care of victory against Albee on Saturday night.
Absolutely, but it is good that they have to do that hour and a half travel, that travel time, to Central Lee, and we definitely want to pack the house, that evening. So you want to check that out. But going back in your season, Lane, I would say that there's probably 3 to 4 wins, or 3 to 4 losses, that you incurred. But man, you were so close to having 3 to 4 more wins, which. Again, it looks like you're probably the 3 seed.
The way I look at it, Chuck, we are the 3 seed. So I want hats off to our girls, the way they played this. Ever since probably the middle of December on, we've kind of hit our stride, and I've been very fortunate. And going back to what you were saying there, Chuck, our record is 14-7. And all 7 of those losses are to ranked teams. Yeah. The big stretch in there early in the season, we had Van Buren, West Burlington, and Kilcook all back to back there, and we took a hit. Our record, I think, at one time was 3 wins and 4 losses. So you can see how we've made the turnaround, made some adjustments. The second time around when we played Van Buren, first time we lost by 30. This time we lost by 4. Second time around when we played West Burlington, first time we lost by 30 or 28 to West Burlington. Second time around on our home court was 6. And with both of those games, we actually had a 2-point lead, about 3 minutes to go in the game. So we want to be there, put ourselves in a position to win.
Now I'm going to give you a hard time. The coach from the sidelines. Imagine that, right? That West Burlington game, it was very difficult to get Maya the ball in that inbounds play. Do you remember? And I know that you remember it like yesterday, because I remember you made eye contact with me, and I thought you were Medusa, brother. I thought I was going to turn to stone. No, but no, you so close. Maybe even of having a chance to to split the conference title. Yeah, our conference was very, very tough. And if you look at the top 4 teams, I don't know. I look at the South Central Conference and I see Centerville and I see Knoxville. Okay, whereas our conference is definitely loaded and tough. Now let's go back because your girls have really grown up since that Keokuk loss, several months back. And Keokuk, by the way, I believe has won like 13 out of the last 14 ball games.
Right.
So
yeah.
What did you guys do as a coaching staff, to shake that up, to get past that tough run at the beginning, to make that change, which I think you've been full steam ahead ever since.
Well, one of the things, when we analyze our stats there early in the season, Chuck, our team was almost every game, and Nadine's probably shaking her head behind me here, we was up around 22 to 25 turnovers per game. And when you make that many turnovers, Chuck, you're not going to win ball games. So we've placed a big emphasis on cutting our turnovers down. And during this run stretch, we probably cut that 22 to 25 turnovers into more of like a 12, 13 turnover ratio there. And when you do that, you're putting yourself in a chance to win ball games. Now, again, when we go back and we look at this West Burlington matchup that might possibly lie ahead of us, that second matchup, we stayed within 6 points, Chuck, but yet we came back with another 25 turnover night there. And so if we're looking for a place where we can be successful again against them, it's cutting down those turnovers, Chuck. So looking at the turnovers, working hard in our 2-3 defense, kind of picking that defense and going with it, not really going out to the 1-3-1 or 1-2-2 defense. We really stayed home with our 2-3 and tried to make it our bread and butter, Chuck.
Yeah, and I agree. And you've been in this coaching business for a long time. I consider you somebody that has a plethora of knowledge. Anytime that you're going to engage and definitely try to dissect, the other team, it's very, very, very difficult to defeat a team 3 times in a year. And I think West Burlington better be a little bit nervous, but. Again, West Burlington's got to beat a quality Davis County team that might be under the radar. They're flying there, and then we have to take, care of business at Albee as well. But if I was a betting man, I'm going to bet that you're going to be playing West Burlington for the 3rd time for a chance to either play Centerville or Des Moines Christian.
Yeah, I agree with you, Chuck, there, and I hope that comes true. And back about 6 years ago, I had a team with a Keller and Greenfield and Crable and those kind of names on my team. And we had lost to Van Buren twice during the regular season, like maybe 2 points on one game and maybe 8 points on the other game. And again, we faced them in that 3rd time in regionals, Chuck, and came away with a big victory on their home court. So we're kind of facing that same kind of scenario here 6-7 years later. Work hard, be ready to play, and see what happens.
And not only did you beat them, but you beat down them, correct? I mean, you beat them pretty good.
We won by 21 that night, Chuck. And you look for memories during your coaching career or for the girls. Actually, the big memories is for the girls. And I remember riding back on the bus that night, and the guy from the state of Iowa runs the Turney Trail or wherever called me and he said, "Lane, what happened? You must have won." And I said, "Yeah, we won over Van Buren," because Van Buren didn't call it in that night. And so that's one of the things you kind of remember probably the rest of your career.
But also I believe that you had a Coach Spurgeon on your staff. Maybe okay.
I was with former coach Lon Spurgeon, and what's special about Lon was very knowledgeable about the game, a great assistant coach, Chuck, and to have that plethora of knowledge sitting beside me was always a plus. And, my girl Sarah played on the state tournament under his reign. And so I was glad to get Coach Spurgeon along with me. And it's nice to have a great coaching staff. And again, this year I have a great coaching staff with Nadine and my wife and Tyler Bryant. I couldn't ask for 2 better assistants. Got a world of knowledge. They see a lot of things that I don't see during the game. I'll admit to everybody that watches me, I'm a motivator. I get up and I go down the court and stuff, and I'm counting on my assistants a lot of the time to see those finer details.
I don't know. Maybe your wife Nadine might laugh, and she might smack me in the head, in the next day or so. But Lane might even be louder than me on the sidelines, folks. I'm just going to throw that.
Yeah, you know what? We might have to do a meter someday to just test that out, Jack.
I know it. Yeah. Well, in the heat of battle, but it is exciting, to be able to coach and do those sorts of things. Now, I'm going to guess though, as a coach, you have looked at the other 4 teams on the other side, correct?
I've Centerville. I got a couple tapes on Huddle already from them, and the way this Huddle thing works is just I kind of wish teams would just submit them to a state box and they're there and you can grab them or whatever. Centerville was gracious enough to share a tape earlier in the year with another team I was scouting, and so that's how I came across Centerville. And to be honest with you, Albia's got my tape. I even sent them my tape because they wanted some information on one of my teams, so I had to send them me. So they know all about me, our team, my team too. So it's one of those, catch-22 things.
Absolutely. Coach Nick Beloma, I was on his coaching staff for 9 years in Centerville, and I got a lot of respect for Nick. He actually took a few years off and started coaching softball, and he's back at the helm over there. I do know that he's going to be down one of their starters. I believe a surgery on a foot, maybe a broken foot or something like that. So they're going to be down one, but he's definitely got some younger players up there, to help them out. But I got to believe they can get past Lee Sandy's Sheraton Ball Club. I know nothing about Sadell. I'm going to guess that they're the 8 seed, and Des Moines Christian will probably walk through. Now, again, this is kind of the most wonderful time of the year, right? Is to figure out these fantasy matchups and this, that, and the other. But you and I have been coaching long enough to know that sometimes those lower seeds can knock you off. So it's definitely one of those things. How do you keep your girls motivated, Lane? To be ready to play a team like Albia, because notoriously sometimes teams will play to that level of competition, and if you give them a whiff of air, sometimes they can suck the air out of you.
Yeah, and one of the things practice wise, we go over all their quick stats, the individual players going over their stats. And when we put that scout team out there in practice, this person's their best player. And we just have to keep going over and over that, Chuck, to emphasize what we want to do. And when you have a game plan for a team, I think it motivates your team. For every team, we have some sort of game plan, whether a little game plan a little bit, or maybe a wider set of plans for a team. But I think that's how you keep your team motivated, keen on those certain aspects of the game. And, I'm hopeful that throughout the year that, I don't know how to say this, Chuck, but I hope my team is motivated by themselves without me having to do it, that here's our chance. I talked about, 7 games ago, I picked the number 7 out because that's the number to get to win the whole state thing. And I said, from this point, we don't lose. Trying to motivate them. So I think you do little things in the locker room to try to motivate your team. And it's my job during the game to make sure that that they are motivated. And one of the things that for this Albia team, there ain't no doubt about it. We're going to come out and we're going to press them, and we're going to tiger them. And I think when you play defense, you can create a lot of motivation.
Absolutely, and defense definitely wins championships. Now let's talk about this special season, because you're. I'm hoping you make it all the way to the state tournament. Maya's able to, show the state, what she's got. But you got a lot of pieces to the puzzle. When you look at your team, how many records have been overtaken this past year, Lane? You're getting help from places where maybe you wouldn't have seen, maybe preseason. That these girls are starting to play.
Right, and one of the things about our off season, Chuck, was that we had to play a lot of that off season without Maya. Maya was on an all-star team or traveling throughout Iowa, and that, to give her credit, that's fine. She needs to do that to get herself exposed for the college level, and that's fine. But one thing it did, it allowed these other kids like Macy Watkins and Daly Brisby and Ella Sanders and Michaela Morrison and Kaylin Summers to get playing time without Maya, and they didn't complain about Maya not being at these ball games during the summer. not one bit. They understood, which was a good team aspect of it, but it allowed them to, even though we was getting beat by big margins, I knew it was going to benefit us in the long run, Chuck.
Yeah, watching the Watkins girl play, and being able to, knock down a three here and there, or being able to run that fast break. Which, by the way, it looks to me like you're running on all cylinders when it comes to that. And you look at the culture that you've created this year. These girls, they're really not worried about numbers. Are they? As much as you see on a lot of teams, where it's me, it appears that this group wants to win. They want to, traverse past, they want to get past this West Burlington squad that's given them fits all year.
Yeah, and Chuck, we did a team motivational skid or something last night where Nadine had them lay down facing a basketball, Chuck, and they had to focus on that basketball for about a minute, 2 minutes, think about the season, think about what lies ahead, and then Nadine had him write some goals for the next 3-4 games. And you're right, when I took those cards back and Nadine and I looked at them, a lot of motivation within those cards, wanted to get to state, wanted to improve their game, was team-oriented, and so I just thought that was a great motivational thing to do at that time. And I think we'll even benefit from that, Chuck.
Now, did any of the girls really surprise you? Above and beyond of what you thought they would have written on one of those sheets.
One of the girls probably that's really came to the forefront is Macy Watkins. I think Macy has just done a wonderful job this year. One of the things, she's so coachable, listens, has a great attitude, works hard all the time, and you can see her growth throughout the season, Chuck. And one of the things that you probably can see from the sidelines, she's starting to penetrate the zone a little bit with her dribble and getting that little, I call it Dave Bing. If you remember Dave Bing and that little layup shot of his from the Washington Bullets way back when. And so if we can get her to continue that the next 3-4 games, it takes pressure off of Maya, takes some pressure maybe off some or other girls from the outside. And so, Macy Watkins is probably the big surprise of the season, Chuck.
Yeah, it's it's absolutely phenomenal. Let's talk about the defenses of these teams that are left here, or in your Region 7. I'm going to guess, again, Davis County, lo and behold, it's going to be a 2-3 ball club defensively. West Burlington 1-3-1. Have they been playing that most of the year?
Yeah, Chuck, and you would, when they played us the second time around, did they change anything? No, they did not. Will they change something for the next game if we get through on next Wednesday night there? I don't think so. Got to be prepared a little bit. But they're like just our bread and butter has been the 2 and 3 zone defense. Their bread and butter's been the 1-3-1. Davis County, I really expect Davis County, whether they're playing West Burlington or even us down the road, that they'll pack the lane with their defense. And when I say pack it, they'll have everybody in the lane with at least 1 foot, and we will have to beat them from the outside with the outside shot. So that's why they're always a threat if your outside shots are not falling against Davis County. Excellent coach. Dave Mason, I think, might be the name.
Yep.
Over there, and we've had a good relationship throughout the years, traded some information. So he'll come up with a good game plan. And you said Nick Baloma from Centerville. Nick will have a good game plan up his sleeve. And then the Des Moines Christian, Chuck, only thing I really know about them, I really expect them to maybe be more of a man-to-man possibly, maybe 2-3. What I do know about them, they've shot nearly, I think, 382 3-point shots, and so they're gonna put up the 3.
they're gonna bring it. I'm gonna guess that Des Moines Christian is probably gonna be a man team mainly. Probably a lot of pressure, full court, at least 3/4 court. Saydell's probably a I'm not sure. I can't say with them. Centerville, Nick's going to bring a 1-3-1 hybrid defense, but he's going to extend it. He's one of those guys that's probably going to, try to press, much like you guys. Sheraton, Lee, Sandy, it's hard to tell. Sometimes Lee, over the years, has played man. He plays some zone, but yeah, it's going to be real interesting. The whole dynamics of this whole region is really up for grabs. Now, when you first saw your Region 7 draw, were you pretty excited because there isn't one of those Davenport Assumption teams or Solon or Iowa City Regina in it?
Right, and the last couple of years we've probably went more to the east. I would say, I guess the Davenport Assumption route. You would say they always play tough. I even saw them down at Kilka very early in the season. They played Kilka, won that game by 10 points down at Kilka. So, yes, excited to see Davenport Assumption in the regionals. Also, the first thing I saw was Albia, and I saw a home game. Didn't have to travel the hour and a half on the bus over there, which we've been over there a couple times. We lost a sub-state game over there, back 6 years ago.
I remember that game. Perhaps one of the greatest teams, Bondurant to ever throw through there. And what's interesting, Lane, is I came over as AD that year. The year previously, I was with Coach Nick Baloma, and we made regional finals, and we had to play Bondurant to make it to state too. So, those pesky rabbits at Bondurant Ferrara.
I don't know if you ever, Chuck, and I don't know if you ever heard behind that there was two sisters that played there, the Wall sisters, and both of their histories. Their parents was at Central Lee. So
where are they at? Come on, come back, folks.
So, where did they go? Why did they go? But that's where they ended up. So,
man,
anyway,
it's
Chuck. I just wanted to. Sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to say about this Des Moines Christian team. Why I'm excited too is they've had a little trouble in the past couple games. We've also Nadine and I have went down the quick stats trying to get a comparison on some things. And there's a couple comparisons that, oh my gosh, if we can get there, we have a chance.
You've piqued my curiosity, and you opened up the can of worms. What are these comparisons, or at least one? Let's.
I think it's Sheraton.
Okay.
I think Sheraton might have played them to a 6-point ball game, Chuck.
Whoa.
And so then you go back and look at Davis County. I think Davis County might even beat Sheraton.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's one instance that I'm talking about that comes to my mind right off the top of my mind. So, and I think there's one more I can't quite put my fingers on or remember right off the top of my head. But those are the things you got to install within your team right now that, hey, we got a goal and we can achieve it.
Absolutely. Well, Lane, I appreciate you coming on CCA. Now, once you get past, the first region, why don't we do this again so we can discuss kind of our road to state? I would be so excited to do that if you're interested.
Chuck, that'd be awesome. Thanks for your time tonight. I thoroughly enjoyed talking to you, and anytime.
Yeah, absolutely. Stay on here real quick, Lane. For those listening tonight, we appreciate it. Be sure to like, subscribe, share for us. We'll be back on the air Sunday night at 8 p.m. Central with the Coach Show. All of us coaches discussing the new district football format. And we're discussing this week 2A and 4A. For everybody on CCA, good night.